Hello crafty friends, welcome to today's clean and simple card making video. Today I've pulled out my embossing ink pens. Now this one is from Nuvo Clear Mark pen and it puts down embossing ink. And these are Zig emboss markers or pens. One's scroll and brush, one's calligraphy and one's writer. I think I got this one from Amazon. These I found in a charity shop, but they're probably on Amazon or somewhere similar. And I've got here a piece of mixed media paper and I'm just pouncing on some corn flour to remove any static or grease. And then I'm going to use my pens to draw some lines which I will then heat emboss in gold, I think. I'm going to start with the writer. This has got bullet tips on it. This one's small and this one's big, so I'm going to start with that. I'm going to use this piece of card, I think, just to stop myself getting greasy fingerprints on my card here. And I'm drawing some wobbly rectangles overlapping each other. The nice thing about this particular pen, or the Zig pens, is they put down blue ink so you can see where you've drawn or written. The Nuvo one puts down clear ink, so it's not quite as easy to see. Now a bit of gold embossing powder, that's stuck really well. In a moment I'll heat that with my heat tool, but before I do that I'm just gonna tap off and brush off any excess powder. So I really like that, lots of lovely chunky wibbly wobbly rectangles in gold. This one is the calligraphy and it's got a chisel tip. I'm not going to attempt calligraphy, but I think I will use it to draw some lines horizontally across this panel here. Again, I'm going for wobbly, not going for straight. I'll put that to one side and heat the rest all in one go. This one here is the scroll and brush. I'm guessing that's the scroll. It's got a chisel with a nick in it. I don't know what makes that a scroll, but I'm sure someone will be able to tell me. And I think some, whoops, okay, we'll just hold that there. I think some wobbly, scrolly lines down here. So that looks like fun. I like the way those have turned out. Now I use the Nuvo one, the clear one. This is quite an old pen. It may or may not work well. We will see. And I'm going to go for some wobbly double-lined circles, not overlapping in this time. As I said, this isn't blue. It's clear, but if I tilt my head, I can see the shiny lines left by the ink. It's not as clear. So that looks quite good. Just tidy that bit up there. Give it a little tap on the back to get any stray bits off. And now I'll heat all of those when I've found my little tray. It's got one more piece of mixed media paper here. And I'm going to use the brush pen to see if I can do a little bit of brush lettering. Where's it gone? Scroll and brush, there we go. Then we'll just keep it simple and do the word hi. There we go, quite happy with that. So there we have a brush lettered hi. It's a bit wibbly wobbly in places, but it's, you know, hand lettered, not stamped, not printed. So it's got that hand lettered look. So now these have all cooled and set, I'm going to use some Distress Oxides to watercolour in my little squares here, or rectangles. So I've smushed a bit of seedless preserves, I've got milled lavender, kitsch flamingo, so they're all cool purpley pinks, so they will blend nicely together in the overlaps. And I'll just paint this on. The nice thing about the heat embossing is that it acts as a resist and stops the colours flooding everywhere. So now for some milled lavender, I think. And some kitsch flamingo. I did just manage to go out of the line there, but I will wet it so it doesn't have a chance to dry. Get a little bit of paper towel and dab it up, and you'd never know. I need to go back in here and get this moving. I'm not making sure each colour is dry. I don't mind the colours blending in the overlapping areas. So that can be set off to the side to dry. And I've got a scrap of paper here. This is hammered white cardstock. Bit left over from ages ago, and I'll just pick that up because that will be useful for die cutting something, probably to go on the card that I've just painted. For my circles, I'm going to use Shaded Lilac, Chipped Sapphire and Stormy Sky. But instead of putting one colour in each circle, I'm going to put all the colours in each circle. So we'll start with this one, and I'll fill it in with some Shaded Lilac. Then I'll get some Stormy Sky and drop it in somewhere. And then a bit of Chipped Sapphire. So we've got 3 different shades of purpley blues. I'm going to do the same thing with all of them. I'll do a couple at a time, because these won't dry too quickly because it's on mixed media paper. And I'm going to leave that to dry. I'm not going to blast it with my hairdryer. I'll let the colours mix and mingle and dry as they will. So for this one, I've got Cracked Pistachio and Evergreen Bough. Some nice, not too bold greens. And I've got my mini smusher here, which needs a white. I'm going to pick up the Cracked Pistachio first and smush it over these lines. So hopefully we'll get some fun smushy splatty texture going on there. And I'll pick up a clean paintbrush and just spatter some on for a bit of extra. I'm going to dry that with my hairdryer because I want to put another layer on top of the Evergreen Bough, but I don't want the colours to mix, I want them to layer. If you've got big blobs that you don't want to wait to dry with the hairdryer or whatever, you can just pick them up with a paper towel. And now for some Evergreen Bough. I might put a little bit less of this on, but we'll see. And again, just splatter a wee bit on. And I'll dry that with my hairdryer again. So I'm thinking browns for this one. I've got pumice stone, which is a very warm grey, almost a brown. Vintage photo and walnut stain. And I'm going to get a big flat paintbrush, pick up my pumice stone and run it down there. You can barely see it. I'll give that a dry. Now a little bit of vintage photo, not too much. I've got another flat brush here, but it's a lot thinner than the other one. So I can run that from the top to the bottom like that. We'll just do a couple of lines, doesn't matter if it's wobbly. Dry that again. And now for walnut stain. And I'll just take a round brush this time and do another line down there like that. And with this one, I'll pick up some brown and do a little bit of spattering. Doesn't matter if it's not quite dry. The and set that aside to dry. So with this one, I'm going to make it all wet. I'm going to take salvage patina, make that into a paint, pick up my mini smusher and smush that on, and this will give me some nice diffuse colour in the background, and a bit also of peacock feathers. I'm going to concentrate that around the high, and I want to go around the edge with this paper towel just to pick up any colour so it doesn't go all the way to the edge. I get a bit of a circle of smushed colour there. Right, we'll dry that. So that's dried now. I'll get the salvage patina again, make a bit more paint, and we'll go in with a more defined layer. So we should get some good splatty definition. I find I get better splat shapes when I really pounce with this rather than with my big smusher where I just kind of move it around. So I'll dry that again, and then we'll do peacock feathers over the top. And I'm going to pick up some of that and splatter it on. Splattering is great for adding energy, vibrancy, movement, but also it breaks up any harsh lines and makes everything come together a bit better. So there's quite a bit of ink on top of my gold embossing, which I don't want because it stops it standing out as well. But if I'm careful, I can take a damp baby wipe and just run my finger over the embossing, and that'll pick up any ink from the embossing. So here we have 5 card panels made using my embossing pens and some inks. What I'm going to do now is take one of them, turn it into a card for you, and then after that I'll come back and show you how I turned the other ones into a card. I think I managed to splash some green, I think that's evergreen bough on there, so I think that might dictate where my focal point goes, or my sentiment, to cover that up, because I'm not going to be able to lift that up. I've also got 5 bits of coordinating card that I made by picking up the remaining inky paint. So I've got lots to play with. So I think I'm going to make a card with this one. First thing I'm going to do is cut a rectangular panel out of this. Just grab the bit that I want. Secure it with a sticky note, and I'll stick that over this side so that I don't wreck the embossing. Pop this on here to protect the front of my card, and then die cut that. And now I'm going to stick this on the front of my card blank, which is about 4 by 6 inches. So I could just leave it like that and add maybe a little sentiment here. I think that would be nice, but I do like to add die cuts because I just love die cuts. So I'm thinking a butterfly about there. Sentiment could still go there, or it could go here to leave this empty. But instead of using this smushed bit to make my butterfly, I'm thinking I'll go peacock feathers and salvage patina for a bit of contrast. So I've popped a bit of glue there. This is matte gel medium. I can press my butterfly down into it. Then I can stick this on some vellum. I don't want to stick the antenna down there because I don't want to have to cut around those. So just lift those up out the way and give that a minute to stick. And I'll trim that out with these little scissors. I think that will look lovely on there. I was wondering about maybe putting a tag or a banner or something underneath it, but I don't think it needs it. I think it looks good as it is. So I'm going to get some glue on the underside of the body and just get that stuck there. I will give the butterfly a body in a minute. For my sentiment, I've chosen a thank you in a scripty font because it just fits nicely in there. It's about the right size, I think. And I'm going to stamp it in black just so it stands out amongst all that colour and gold. And for my butterfly body, I'm going to add some white Nouveau drops. I'm going to do them in drop form, but let them touch, so they'll kind of eventually merge into a body looking thing. It'll also probably absorb some of the blue ink, so they'll go a light blue, which will work well. If they don't turn blue, then it matches the rest of the card, because that's white. If they do turn blue, then they'll match the butterfly. And I think there is plenty going on that card now, and I'm pleased with the way that's turned out. I love the colours, I love the gold, I love butterflies, you know me. So I'm going to go and make cards out of the other 4 backgrounds that I did and come back and show you how they turned out. Okay, I'm back, and here is the card that I made for you on camera, and the white Nouveau drops here have picked up a little bit of the blue, so there are ever such a light blue there on that butterfly body, which is nice. Next we have the card that I did with the chisel tip, the lines and the green smushing. I added a vellum leafy die cut, which I went over with a little bit of gilding wax just to give it a bit of luster. And then I die cut a branch, the same one, out of the brown smushed bit of paper that I had, and again gilded it a bit to give it a bit of luster. Put them over to the left hand side and then stamped on Thinking of You. The stamping has come out a bit big, and that's because I've just started using a brand new ink pad and it's very juicy, so I think it splurged a little bit, but it's okay. This one's turned into a Sorry You're Leaving card. I rotated the panel and put the stripy bit over to the right hand side because I wanted to use this butterfly, so I die cut this from some of the smushed green paper, backed it with vellum and put it here because it's flying in this direction, or like that I guess. So it needs more room in front of it than behind it, so it seemed to work better having this on this side. For this card, I die cut a heart out of the pink smushed paper, stuck it onto some more of the pink smushed paper, and then cut around it so it's pink on pink, but it's textural. I did go over it with some gilding wax again just to give it some luster, popped it over here and then added a Just For You there. And this is the high card. All I did was die cut this out with the rectangle panel, the stitched rectangle panel die that I used on all these cards, stuck it on a card blank, and then added some gold, white and Morning Dew Nouveau drops, just for a bit of extra dimension, a bit of interest, to break up some of this blue and to gather everything around the focal point. I'm really pleased with how all these cards turned out, and I am going to try and use my embossing pens more and not leave them languishing in the bottom of my embossing box. I hope you've enjoyed the video and it's given you a few ideas of things you could do with items you already have in your stash. If it has, please do leave a thumbs up, let me know in the comments, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I will see you back here very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.